until I'm 5 or 6. But within that kind of range. And we know any kind of biological function pretty much follows a normal distribution around the mean. Yeah, there'll be kids that learn language at 1.5 years old. We got Mozart composing symphonies at 5. Okay. But we also have mentally retarded kids too. Okay. That doesn't deny the importance of biology. It just says, like any other biological trait, there's a variety, and it revolves around the mean of about 3.5 to 4 years old. Yeah.
So then how come, like, let's say, I'm not sure if this is actually the case, but let's say Japan is teaching their, like, 12-year-olds and stuff like that, very, like, algebra 2, calculus, geometry, trigonometry, stuff like that, at 12, how come, like, and we're learning, like, pre-algebra and stuff like that at that age? What's the difference between that?
Well, all of this, if they're learning calculus at 12, that's still within this frame. That's still age-appropriate learning. That has, again, more to do with the culture of a particular society. Are Americans pretty much math adverse? Yeah, it's hard. I don't want to do it. Now, is that the same thing in Asian culture? No. What we know, for example, is over half of all positions in graduate school in engineering. Graduate engineers are currently occupied by non-native Asians. Not Asian Americans, but Asians from China, Asians from Vietnam, Asians from India, that kind of stuff. And that has to do with culture, not with the biology. Okay, any other questions or comments about this stuff? One last point about Piaget, and it's something that you kind of allude to as well, is that since Piaget, we got this pendulum that swings from one extreme to the other. With behaviorism, all learning is basically nurture, 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 and an early phase of Piaget is mostly nature, nature, nurture, though Piaget obviously recognized the importance of nurture as well. But since Piaget, we found out these stages are less this concrete, absolute, and there's more variety here than Piaget probably first imagined. Okay, so let's move on. This is interesting stuff, but it doesn't get us to what sociology is interested in. Yeah, it's an interesting contribution of understanding that debate between nature versus nurture. But sociology has a different set of concerns than from psychology. Psychology tends to be interested in what makes us like other members of our species, how we develop the ability to reason and use language. And this stuff helps a lot. After doing that, psychology is interested in what makes you a unique individual. How come you have an inability to commit in a relationship? How come she has a fear of open spaces? How come, what was the impact of trauma early in life? That kind of stuff. So psychology tends to be interested in what is uniting us as a species and then what makes us unique individuals. For a sociologist, we're interested in what makes us like members of our group. And here it becomes very important, something called social roles. Roles are interrelated sets of behaviors attached to a social position. A social role is a set of interrelated behaviors attached to a social position. But frankly, it's easy enough to understand what that means commonsensically. It's like a role in a play. We play a role. We play roles. And the roles we play make us like other members of our group. For you guys, are most teachers pretty much all alike? I mean, granted, there's some people who are faster and slower and some taller and shorter and all that kind of stuff. But are all teachers kind of in love with the sound of their own voice? Yeah. Are they all kind of weird people who are obsessed with this stupid stuff they're trying to teach? Yeah. Are most ministers nice, caring people? Yeah. Are most CEOs aggressive and pretty egotistical? Yeah. How about medicine? Are most psychiatrists good at listening? But are most surgeons also pretty egotistical? Yeah. Are most police officers pretty conservative?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are most sociologists screaming liberals? Yes. Yes, they are. Okay, that's the stuff of sociology. How come we become like members of our group? And the key here is that we learn these roles. We play a role. I play a role of teacher. Some of this stuff I know a lot about, honestly. Some of it I don't. But when I come into the classroom, do I pretend like I know a lot about everything? Yes. You come into the classroom, at least ever so often, you pretend to be paying attention. When you talk to me about your grades, are you playing a role? Like most students. Are most students, when they come up to me, we just had the midterm, and I'm going to talk to you about your grades next time, are you going to come up to me and be very polite? Oh, Dr. Robinson, I am very concerned about my grade in this class. I don't feel like I'm living up to my potential. What are you doing? Sucking up. But more accurately, you're playing the role. For me, you're not all alike, but do most students pretty much come up and talk to me in the same way? Yeah, that's the stuff of sociology. How come we become members like our groups? And for this, we start looking at role learning. And the first person we'll take a look at is Charles Cooley. Charles Cooley is one of the first early sociologists to pay attention to roles. Cooley was interested in which of the roles we will play in the course of the day become part of our quote, self. That is, which ones stick to us and become part of what we are, who we are. Are you tall or are you short? Are you fast? Are you slow? Are you attractive? Are you ugly? Are you mean? Are you nice? Which one of those become who you really think of yourself as? Are you good at sports? Are you good at school? Are you the kind of person that's easy to talk to? Are you the kind of person who really takes charge in a situation? How, which of those become part of it? You know, in the course of the day, we could play a dozen different roles. Sitting in the classroom, you're playing the role of student. Out in the quad, you're playing the role of friend. Driving home, you're playing the role of motorist. Shopper in the family member at home, brother, sister. Some of you all maybe have kids of your own, father, mother. Which of those roles really stick to us, become part of ourselves, become really important who we are? That's the question that Cooley wanted to ask. We can play a dozen different roles in the course of the day. Which ones really become part of what we see ourselves as the important ones? All right, and for him, it was pretty simple. How do we become roles? He has a term he called the looking glass self. A looking glass is an old-fashioned term for what?
Mirror.
Mirror. What Cooley is saying is pretty simple. We are who other people think we are. We are who other people think we are. What's a good day for you? How do you feel good about yourself? How about this? You walk into class, you sit down. You sit down there. And you catch the eye of Valerie. Mary, sorry. Sitting next to you. And she smiles. She's clearly pleased to see you. How do you feel about yourself? I'm the kind of person that people like. Opposites. You walk in, you sit down, and you catch Valeria's oof. Now how do you feel about yourself? Whimper, whimper, whimper. Okay. We are who other people think we are. You know, I am of normal height in this country. Here a number of years ago, I spent some time in Nicaragua, in Central America. Down there, I felt like the jolly blonde giant. I towered over most people, because they're fairly short. And I'm, blonde hair, blue eye, I'm going to go out running and people yell at me, "Oye, Rubio!" failed. Okay, you know, we are who other people think we are. That's so simple. But Cooley is saying something profoundly important. We become the experience of others around us. How do we get a sense of ourselves? Who we are? Are we tall? Are we short? Are we nice? Are we mean? We're seeing ourselves reflected in that mirror called other people. This is an important insight. I know it's not that hard to get. I mean, this is even found inside of other disciplines besides sociology. I mean, it's recognized. You probably don't know much about French literature. There was a famous French philosopher named Jean-Paul Sartre. This is not going to be at the test because he is a philosopher. But Sartre is, as an intellectual exercise, in one of his plays, he writes a play called No Exit. No Exit. In which he tries to imagine, in a modern sense, what is hell? Yeah, that's his intellectual exercise. What would be the most torturous situation to be in? And here is his conclusion. Someone wakes up in a room. They don't know how they got there. They don't know how long they're going to be in there. But what they notice immediately is that there is no way out. There's no door. There's no window. There is no exit. That's the title of the play. But in that room is other people. 3 or 4 other people. And as he talks to those other people, to get to know them, to find out what's going on, to find out how we can get out of here, there's no doors. How the hell do we get in here if there's no doors? He begins to find out that every single other person in that room is exactly the kind of person designed to drive him crazy. If you take yourself seriously intellectually, you're in a room with the gross out king. Hey dude, pull my finger. You are in that room with the exact kind of person that's kind of like emotional acid. That is, your sense of self. You're constantly reading other people to see the reaction to you. Remember the very point of birth. Children first look up at other people's faces. We're constantly reading other people's faces, and all you're getting from those people in that room is disapproval. They despise everything about you that you hold dear and dear. The conclusion from this play, according to Sartre, what is hell? It's other people. Hell is other people. But the irony, of course, if hell is other people, then what's heaven?
Other people. Other people
too. Because there's no better situation than being in a place with a group of people who appreciate everything about you. We are who other people think we are. We become the kind of people that other people see us as. What should that sound similar to? Very good. Who said I heard? Yeah, it's
labeling.
It's labeling theory. This is the first development of what school of sociological thought? Labeling theory, but interactional sociology. We are who other people think we are. There is an interesting impact of this kind of stuff, the power of other people over us. Experiment was done. Teachers were told in elementary school, coming a group of kids this year, and we have used a new aptitude test, the Harvard Aptitude Test for Learning.